welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing well today. It's a new week. We got some egregious all-star snubs to talk about. This is like, we've seen there's always going to be all-star snubs. Not every good player is going to be able to make it every year, unfortunately, but this year just feels different.
Yeah, and it's great because I think one of the best parts of the all-star game and that whole general thing is complaining about the people who didn't make it. It truly is. I'm not even saying that completely facetiously, but it's a good time of the year. So we can definitely get into it. So there's some guys out there.
Specifically pitching, Kevin Gausman, Carlos Rodon, Aaron Nola, and Zack Wheeler are all top 6 in pitcher F4. None of them made it, which is insane.
Yeah, they're
like,
especially
they didn't make it.
I mean, well, I forget when exactly this was decided on, but it is funny that, like, right after Carlos Rodon goes a complete game, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks against the Padres to lower his FIP to 2.14, he doesn't make it in.
Dylan Cease is another potential snub. He has 13.1 strikeouts per 9. He has a 2.45 ERA. Weird. Couldn't tell you why that is that he got snubbed, but he did.
Yeah. It's definitely weird. There's some snubs for sure. Some of it can be attributed to, we all know the MLB rule of, every single team needs to be represented at the All-Star game. That's, a rule that's been in place for a while. So there are some teams where there's not any particular standouts. But I mean, in a lot of the cases, that's not what's going on. I think, looking at starting with the American League pitchers, you have the full roster of starting pitchers for the American League is Shane McClanahan, Nestor Cortez, Alek Manoah, Framber Valdez, Martin Perez, Paul Blackburn, Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and of course Shohei Ohtani. And yeah, like someone like Dylan Cease and Kevin Gausman, yeah, I think they should probably be in instead of Garrett Cole and Framber Valdez. And those 2 guys, there were other players being represented on their team, and there were other players represented on their team, so it didn't necessarily have to be in there, like, say, Paul Blackburn or Martin Perez.
So if we're going to compare Dylan Cease and Nestor Cortez here, obviously the Yankees didn't need a representative because they have, I think, more than any other team. Dylan Cease has thrown 3 1/3 more innings. He has a lower ERA by 0.29 points. His strikeouts per 9 is 3.5 strikeouts better. Nestor Cortez does have him significantly in walk rate, but Dylan Cease has him in home run per 9 by about 0.6, 0.5 to 0.6. The only thing where Cortez is better is walks, and that's just about it.
I think part of it is these decisions were being talked about earlier, and also Nestor Cortez is coming off a bad start, so his numbers are
And I know that he's a cool story. You know, he was DFA'd. He had like a above 9 ERA in 2020. I get that, you know, there's a cool story that comes with it.
And I don't know if anyone's seen it on social media, but he's nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty Nestor. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but it's a good story for sure. And I mean, for the month of April into May, he was like the best pitcher in baseball for a little bit. But I think that's changed. And Dylan Cease should have gotten the nod instead of him. And then
Kevin Gausman.
Kevin Gausman's had a very interesting season. 2.86 ERA, 1.68 FIP, 3.49 expected ERA. You never really see a difference like that, but I mean, just looking strikeout to walk rate, strikeout rate versus walk rate, that's unbelievable. And he's only given up 0.2 home runs per 9, which I imagine in 88 innings that would be like 3 or 4 home runs allowed. Which is pretty crazy. The pitching side of things, it's very interesting. And then you go to the National League pitchers. Clayton Kershaw's in there. Then you also, of course, you have to have Sandy Alcantara, Corbin Burns, Luis Castillo, Max Fried, Tony Gonsolin, Joe Musgrove as the starting pitchers. Clayton Kershaw, we can all agree he's in there because it's at Dodger Stadium.
He has been doing very well this season, but I think there are other pitchers that have been statistically better than him, especially given they have more innings pitched.
Yes. If he had been pitching a full season up to this point, I think he's definitely all-star worthy. However, he had an IL stint that took him out for a few weeks. And I think that qualifies him a little bit less. And, a guy like Carlos Rodon should have been prioritized more. But if this all-star game was taking place in Colorado, like last year, Kershaw is probably not in that, on that roster.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you look at me and tell me that Carlos Rodon isn't an all-star. He leads National League pitchers in FWAR. He's 100 innings pitched. He's pitched plenty. He just had that complete game shutout with 12 Ks. I know that probably wasn't considered, but he was all-star worthy before that, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about him. Yeah, I think we mentioned him a little bit last episode because of the Giants skid. We mentioned how he led the National League in FIP, and that's how you're going to lead the National League in FWAR, which is what he's doing right now. 100 innings pitched versus Clayton Kershaw has 63 and 2/3 innings pitched, and Rodon has a better FIP, and the ERA isn't, it's only a difference of 0.3 with 36 and a third more innings pitched.
Zack Wheeler too.
Yeah,
couldn't tell you how is he not an all-star. He did have an IL stunt to start the season, but 95 innings pitched despite missing his first few starts. That's on par with a lot of others. 2.46 ERA, also a 2.46 FIP. Where is he not an all-star? I don't get it.
It is it's quite odd. And the only player you can point to of out of those National League starters where it's credited to the team they're on and the fact that there weren't any other all-star worthy players is Luis Castillo. So that's the only guy. I think also it's a possibility that since this season is very pitcher dominant, we're seeing more dominant pitchers being left off the roster because there have been just so many dominant seasons from pitchers and a weak offensive year in general.
Mm-hmm.
As the league OPS, I don't know, it might be around 700. It might have leaped over 700 a little bit, but it's less than usual. I mean, we've had some very good pitcher season, because I mean, you know, the only real complaints I have from those National League pitchers would be like, yeah, like Clayton Kershaw, who is really just being put in for because of the park it's being played in. And I mean, Luis Castillo, it's just a matter of team. But like, Alcantara definitely deserves to be there. Corbin Burns, I know his FIP isn't the same as it was last year, but I mean, he's having a great season. Max Fried is near the top of that, near the top of those F4 leaderboards. Tony Gonsolin, obviously, he's 11-0, but also his FIP, I think, is around or under 3, and he has a mid ones ERA. And Joe Musgrove, I know, is doing very well earlier in the season, and he's 13th in the MLB in F4 and has a 209 ERA and a 313 FIP. So I don't know. I'm not like, there are some snubs, but I think it's just part of it is like, yeah, there's a lot of dominant pitchers this year.
This guy is a snub. Going back to position players, this guy's a snub not only because he didn't make it, but also because I haven't seen many people talking about him being a snub. But Freddie Freeman didn't make it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. The NL first baseman. Okay, Paul Goldschmidt deserved to be there. Like, I'll accept that. Pete Alonso and CJ Cron, who was there because the Rockies needed a representative, are the other NL first baseman.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, Pete Alonso's had the home runs, and like, I think also the OPS and weighted runs created plus, but I think Freddie Freeman has him in F4 by like a full.
Yeah,
game.
well, I mean, they're only separated in weighted runs created plus by 1 point. Freeman has him in OBP. Alonso has him in slugging, but the difference in defense and base running is very much there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Freeman's been the better player than Alonso. So
a lot of first baseman snubs. Ty France in the American League.
Yeah.
I know that, like, well, I mean, Vlad Jr. got voted in, and Ty France is better than him. But Luis Arias also got it in, and I will accept that Luis Arias has had a better season than Ty France. I don't think there's any looking around that. But man, he should have been there. Also, Josh Bell in the National League, he didn't make it.
Yeah. He's got a OPS plus in the 150s or something like that.
It is 143, yeah.
Or yeah, I mean, it's still very good.
Exactly.
Still very good. Freddie Freeman not being there, that sucks. Because I think he's been a better player than Pete Alonso, but I mean, it's a good excuse for Pete Alonso to be at the stadium, to be at the home run derby. So
yeah,
I'll accept that for sure.
Just going through more position players. I think the only real second base snub would be maybe Tommy Edman. I know that, like, he does have a 100 weighted runs created plus. He's gone down pretty significantly, but I mean, he leads all second basemen in F4, not just National League, but the majors.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I don't think
that's the worst one, but it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I think guys who accumulate their wins above replacement defensively just get less credit. So
yeah,
that's what happens.
Exactly. You're just looking at some more shortstop. I don't think there's anything that's too egregious. Dansby Swanson made it. Xander Bogaerts made it. Trey Turner, he did make it, right?
Yeah, he started.
I believe. Yeah. Yeah, so that's fine. Lindor didn't make it. I don't think that's the end of the world. Corey Seager didn't make it, but he's also been on a run as of late. Yeah, I think shortstop is mostly fine. Third base, I think, is also mostly fine. Arnado made it. Ramirez made it. Machado made it. Devers made it. Austin Riley, you could probably argue, was a snub.
Yeah, I would agree.
He has a higher weighted runs created plus than Nolan Arenado by 1 point.
Oh,
but at the same time, Arnaudo has him in defense by a
Yeah.
lot.
yeah. Um,
Um, Ian
yeah.
Happ, why is he there?
Um, yeah.
He has a 128 weighted runs created plus, which is very good. Um, Actually, to be honest, it doesn't really look like there's anyone else above him that's noteworthy. So his F WAR is 14th in the National League. Above him is, or sorry, in the majors. Above him is Aaron Judge, who made it, Jordan Alvarez, who made it, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Byron Buxton, Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo should have made it. Nimmo
Yeah.
should have made it over him. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look because the
Yeah.
Cubs didn't even need a representative. Um,
Yeah.
Starling Marte also.
The Cubs have Contreras already in there. So,
Yeah.
and also Hap. You said 14th among outfielders in F4. Nimmo should have made it. He has more weighted runs created plus. He has more F4 by a good amount.
Schwarber's in the home run derby. That's sick. Home run derby field looks good right now, by the way.
Yeah, you mentioned that before the show started. Soto, Acuna, Pujols, Alonso, and now Kyle Schwarber.
Only National League. We got no AL players in this home run derby.
But yeah, very good field so far. I'd love to see that. Coming up soon.
Yep.
McNeil made it, Schwarber made it, Soto made it. So those are those are the
Catchers.
guys.
Were there any catching snubs? Not really that I can think of off the top of my head.
There just haven't been many good catchers this year in
No.
general, so it's hard to snub
What were
one.
the other catchers in the National League? What were the reserves? Travis d'Arnaud. Yeah, I can live with that. He's been
Yeah.
pretty good this year.
Yeah,
If we're
outside of
looking 50 plate appearances.
outside of Kirk and Contreras, who are the two starters.
There haven't been any outstanding.
Yeah,
Like Jose Trevino's been good. Yeah, the catchers, they did it right, I think.
yep.
Either way, I'd say those are the big snubs.
Yeah, that's
Adley
Yeah.
Rutschman, by the way, already at 1.1 F4.
Oh yeah, nice. Good for
He's
him.
been outstanding.
For him. Some interesting snubs. Yeah, very much a lot out of the pitching side of things. And I don't know. I think who selects the pitchers? Is it the manager?
I think it's the
managers?
manager, yeah. I mean, it's probably not just him, but he probably has help. But yeah, I believe it is the Braves.
So maybe
Which is funny because there was an article written about Brian Snitker last year that was like he doesn't do analytics, and it's like I can tell.
yeah, like because the selections do seem to be geared more towards ERA, which I get to a degree. But yeah,
Poor Aaron Nola.
yeah.
What do you want him to do?
Yeah. At any time.
By the way,
anytime
his
it's put
BABIP
in
against
play,
is
it's
like
just
not
gonna
even
throw.
bad, so he must just have horrendous BABIP numbers against with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, pretty
Like his
likely.
BABIP against is like 270.
Yeah, and that was the thing with Corbin Burns last year. His BABIP was like average, but with runners in scoring position, it was above 400. So that's what allowed so many runs to score.
Yeah, wow. His BABIP against with runners in scoring position is 392.
Yeah. That'll do it.
That's insane.
Oh
my god. TOPS plus of 205. SOPS plus of 154. Did you see that play recently, by the way? Where I think it was like the Phillies were playing, I forget who they were playing, but the team had men on the corners with one out, and the batter hit like an easy ground ball to the second baseman. He tossed it to Didi at shortstop, and he caught it and just started running to the dugout like he had just gotten the third out. But it was only the second out, and the run scored.
No way. Wait,
Yeah.
what was that?
It was like a couple. If you go to my Twitter, I quote tweeted and I was like, "This can only happen to Aaron Nola."
That's
Hang on,
very
I'll
funny.
find it. But it was I saw it and I was very sad for Nola because like I said, it can only happen to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, here it is.
yeah, that's been a
It was
running thing for at least a year.
they're playing the Braves.
Take a look.
Come on, Aaron, ground ball. There you go.
There you go, out towards second base.
Oh, it's
Stop.
Arcia.
Flips to second for one. Didi only gets that one.
Oh no, I thought Didi was there's 3 outs.
Did Didi think there were 3 outs?
He thought that was 3 outs because you
Oh,
saw him pound
my.
his ball.
Yep, that's
If
Doesn't even
any
go-
other pitcher was on the mound, that would not have happened, and we all know it.
yeah, it doesn't even go against his BABIP
No,
because it's
this is a force out.
yeah. Oh god. Um,
But it is an earned run, right? I mean,
Yes.
depending on what happened beforehand,
yes, it's an earned run, so we got
Yeah.
screwed out of that.
unless there was an error beforehand. But I don't think there was. But yeah, that Aaron Nola's not in the All-Star game because his ERA is not low enough,
yeah, yeah,
and then stuff
pretty
like that's
much.
happening.
pretty much. Well, I guess someone who's been streaking as of late, who got into the All-Star game because of what he's been doing as of late, is Julio Rodriguez, who is on the Mariners, who in general have been streaking as of late. They've won 16 out of 19. And if the season ended today, they have a playoff spot after being 10 games below 500. They've been absolutely surging. From all areas of their game have improved. They've just been very good. 16 out of 19. That's all you really have to say. What have you been seeing from Seattle?
I mean, they've just kind of been finding a way. Like that's when the Mariners are going, they just find ways to do it. You look at that. I think of that game last year against the Astros where they were down like 7-3. Dylan Moore hit the grand slam. I think of the iconic Abraham Toro grand slam off of Kendall Graveman. And
Yep.
that's what you saw a lot of out of the Blue Jays series this weekend, a 4-game sweep. Of course, Blue Jays fans, when they're good, they will travel. They will go to home games. Their crowds will be loud. But there's also a lot of Blue Jays representation when they go to Seattle because it's very close to Canada. There's
Yeah.
Blue Jays fans on the western side of that country that will travel to Seattle. And the crowd was, it was definitely more Mariners, but the Blue Jays presence was noticed. And a 4-game sweep. They were trailing in at least 2 of the games, maybe even like 3 or 4 that I can think of. But I'm looking at the games, just going in reverse order here. On Sunday, the Mariners won 6-5, and they got their runs. They scored 2 runs in the 8th inning, so they were down 5-4 going into the 8th. Carlos Santana, who played a big role in this series, hit a 2-run homer. That was game. Mariners won that one. On Saturday, they won 2-1. They scored 2 runs in the 7th inning when they were down 1-0. And it was also on a Carlos Santana home run. So that's 2 come from behind victories. On Friday, walk-off 3-run home run in the 11th by Eugenio Suarez. And on Thursday, that was just an 8-3 win where they were up 6-1. So that was really the only game where they weren't playing like either comeback or walk off.
Yeah.
The WPA was staggering that series for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, showing signs of what they showed last year, except earlier on in the season, which is very good for them. Now they're not as much coming from behind in the standings as they were last year. They have a playoff spot secured right now.
They tie with the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, tied with the Blue Jays, right behind the Red Sox for like the first wild card spot. Yeah, they've really turned their season around. It looked kind of bleak about a month ago, and yeah, they've definitely got back to what they should be, and going to where they've been good. Yeah, they've been, as you've said, they've been finding a way. They've been good every way. They have a 119 weighted runs created plus as a team in their last 19 games. They also have a 2.46 team ERA, and they've been especially good out of the bullpen. Their bullpen ERA in the last 19 games is 1.23, and their bullpen FIP is 2.66. Individually, out of that bullpen, you have Andres Munoz,
Those 103,
who has a 9, who in the Mariners' last 19 games has 9 2/3 scoreless innings pitched. He's faced 33 batters in the Mariners' last 19 games. 33 batters. He's struck out 19 of them. It's been unbelievable. He's out of his mind lately. Then also out of the bullpen, you have Paul Sewald. In the Mariners' last 19 games, he's gone 8 2/3 innings pitched, allowed 1 run. He's struck out 14 and he's walked no one. So he's been great. Then also on the offensive side with the Mariners, we mentioned Julio Rodriguez a couple episodes ago. In these last 19 games, he's hitting .306 with a 1043 OPS and a 194 weighted runs created plus. Jesse Winker, who might be serving a suspension right now.
is
He's serving a suspension, but in this span, he's hitting .311 with a 948 OPS and a 177 weighted runs created plus. So he's turning.
What's their record since the brawl? Let me
very
check that.
good.
It was June 26th.
Yeah, I think they had a 4-game win streak heading into that brawl, though, to give them prior credit.
Sure.
But they've been doing very well since the brawl too. So he's turning his season around a little bit. And then you mentioned Carlos Santana. He's been a very good trade acquisition for them in the Mariners' last 19 games. He is hitting .282 with a 943 OPS and a 171 weighted runs created plus. So yeah, I mean, lots of guys just turning their season around, and I think a lot of it has to do with that bullpen. The bullpen is pitching like they were towards the end of the season last year, and I think that's what the Mariners needed.
Absolutely. Since the brawl, they are 11-2, tied for the best record in the league with the Houston Astros. So unfortunately, they've made up 0 ground in their division, which is very unfortunate. But that is a thing.
Yep, that's how it be. Yeah. 11-2 since the brawl. That's pretty wild.
Yep.
But yeah,
not including the brawl, which I believe they did win that day. So I guess 12-2 technically.
Yeah. 16-3. Yeah, best record in baseball since after June 19th. 16.
What was the record beforehand?
The record beforehand was 29-39.
Wow. They were 10 games under 500.
Yeah, they really turned it around, and pitching's had a lot to do with that. One guy I forgot to mention, Robbie Ray. He's truly turned it around. In the span, he has a 108 ERA in I forget how many innings pitched. I think it's like 26, and I had the span pulled up. In 25 2/3 innings pitched, and his success actually goes back further. In his last 6 starts, he has a 0.91 ERA in 39 2/3 innings pitched. So he's pitching also a 2.5 FIP. So he's pitching like the Cy Young that he was last year, which helps out the Mariners a lot. Helps them out a lot.
The guy they paid for.
Yes, for sure. So pretty confident on the Mariners right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think I did have him winning the AL West. That doesn't look like it's going to happen at this point, but here's the thing. Mariners, they're not looking for the division. I mean, they would take it, but you know what they want. It's just to simply make the playoffs, to get the monkey off their back. They have the longest playoff drought in professional sports, 2001. They Mitch Haniger wrote that article in the Players Tribune over the winter that ended by saying we're going to end this effing drought. Unfortunately, he's not been on the field to take part in it, but they're on track to do it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very confident on the Mariners right now. Also, I think I think it's good for them that like Kelnick hasn't worked out yet, but it's good to see that at least Julio Rodriguez is playing like an absolute star.
Yeah, I would say not only is he working out and just contributing, but he's been as advertised.
Yeah, he's making up for Kelnick not working out so far in
100%.
how amazing he's been, because he's on pace for probably like 6 wins above replacement, which is absolutely insane for a rookie. Like, if he keeps going this way, he's going to get MVP votes.
At this point in the offseason, we might be talking about him as like a top 15, 20 player in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be super impulsive to say with the skill set he's shown us.
Yes.
I think there's reason to believe. All right. So that does it for Mariners talk. So we'll get into our players to highlight for good and bad reasons. We'll start out with our Tuesday, July 12, 2022 edition of How About That? Who do you have for us today?
Today, I am going with, I think I'm crossing another team off the list. Let me just real quick.
I was double checking last night. I always
this is
forget.
in fact a new team.
Okay.
Talking about checking a new team off the list. Talking about a guy who's on a new team this year, Daniel Vogelbach of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Since June 26th, he is slashing 349, 482, 698, 1179 for a 225 weighted runs created plus. His OBP, slugging, and weighted runs created plus all rank top 5 among the 180 qualifiers over this span. Before June 26th, he had a strikeout rate of 25.4, and in the span, he has cut it to 18.5%. That's gone down almost 7%. That's been pretty good. And also before the span, 15.5% of his batted balls had a launch angle above 45 degrees, and he had a sweet spot percentage of 30.2%. In the span, he has 6.1% of batted balls with a launch angle of at least 45 degrees. That is more than cut in half. And his sweet spot percentage has gone up to 51.5%, the 7th highest among the 240 hitters with at least 25 batted balls over that span. So that's gone up by 21.3%, nearly doubled. And overall this season, he has a career high in barrel rate, expected slugging, WOBA / expected WOBA, and OPS. We've been seeing a career year out of Daniel Vogelbach, which is good for the Pirates because, he doesn't have a ton of service time on him yet. So you have control over him, but also, there is kind of reason to believe that this might be the peak if you want to maybe trade him for something. And it's funny because we talk about hitters like Daniel Vogelbach in the sense of, well, if they can do this and hit 240, they're going to be elite players. Daniel Vogelbach's batting average on the season right now, after the span, has been up to 238. So he's a guy with a lot of power. He walks a lot. He's been making more contact and better contact over this span.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel Vogelbach.
How about that?
Knocking the Pirates off the list. And also him on the trade market, it's a much different story than if he were on the trade market last year, because now every team has the DH. So he's in that sense, he's a more valuable asset because he has a place on every single team in case the Pirates would want to dish him out, which I would understand. All right, my player to watch, unfortunately doesn't. My player to highlight. My how about that? My how about that unfortunately doesn't knock a team off the list.
Fine.
In fact, going back to a well that we've dug into twice now, it's another Brave, but I just want to, there was a Baseball Savant article written about him, but I wanted to talk about just how dominant he's been. Spencer Strider, he's a rookie for the Atlanta Braves. I don't know if he was he a top 100? Was he a top 100 prospect? Maybe
he might have been,
but he wasn't.
I could check.
he wasn't like top 10, top 20. Not really someone that it wasn't like breaking news that he was going to be making his debut. Started out as a reliever this season. He's, been a starter as of late. And man, he's been absolutely dominant. He's been crazy. In his last 3 starts, he has pitched 18 innings. In those 18 innings, he's allowed 1 run, 8 hits, 3 walks, and he's struck out 30 batters for an ERA of 0.5 and a FIP of 0.44. In this span, he leads the MLB in strikeouts, ERA, FIP, and FWAR. Also, out of the 107 pitchers with 200 plus pitches thrown in this span, he leads in xWOBA against. So his expected stats are right there. He has had more whiffs against him than anyone in this span. And also, out of the 107 pitchers with 200 plus pitches thrown, no one has thrown more 4-seam fastballs than him. And no one has thrown more 4-seam fastballs at 98 plus miles per hour. Spencer Strider has been unbelievable. I should shout out David Adler, who's an MLB.com writer. He had an article that was on Baseball Savant's front page earlier talking about how he has an old school style fastball, powering guys. His 4-seam fastball usage is around 70% because of just how good it is. And it's working out for him along with his slider. It plays off really well. And it's led to him having a 0.50 ERA and a 0.44 FIP in a 3-start span with 15 strikeouts per 9. So Spencer Strider.
How about that?
So he was never a top 100 prospect, but he was also drafted in the 4th round of the 2020 draft. So, I guess to start, he was never going to be there. He threw exactly 1 inning in AAA in his career, and he had 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, no, they were like
4 batters
right,
faced, 1 hit.
Up.
Yeah, the Braves tend to do that. Like Michael Harris II skipped AAA. Spencer Strider threw 1 inning, and they're both contributing to the team very well right now. 2 of them have been how about that?
Yeah. 2 Braves rookies
that basically didn't do AAA that have been how about that?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, they're part of the reason why the Braves they've really emerged. They're 29-9 in their last 38 games. And part of that has been, Strider and Harris just emerging out of nowhere. All right. Now we go from the highs to the lows with players or subjects that have been underperforming for our Tuesday, July 12, 2022 edition of
Slightly alarming.
Who do you have for us today?
I'm looking at one of the big shortstops from the free agent class last year that just has not been working out. It's Javier Baez of the Detroit Tigers. Since May 4th, right after he came off the IL, 2 games after he came off the IL, since then, he has a slash line of 194, 231, 346 for a 577 OPS and a 59 weighted runs created plus. That is tied for the 5th worst among the 161 qualifiers. He is also tied for the 7th worst walk to strikeout ratio among hitters in that span, which I guess that's to be expected. But really, this is a story of Javier Baez against breaking balls. He has been thrown an equal amount of breaking balls and fastballs this season, which almost never happens. Like if you look at the pitch percent, breaking balls and fastballs are the exact same, 471 of both. And it's easy to see why hitters or pitchers have thrown him so many breaking balls. Among the 420 hitters with at least 250 total pitches seen this year, Baez's 43.7% rate of breaking balls is the very highest. Again, that's 420 hitters with at least 250 total pitches seen. And among the 69 hitters that have seen at least 400 breaking balls this year, his 34.1% strikeout rate is the 9th highest. His 156 batting average is the 3rd lowest, and his 289 slugging is the 10th lowest. And specifically going into breaking balls, he's actually been all right off of curveballs, but he is miserable against sliders. His negative 16 run value against sliders is the absolute lowest that any batter has against any pitch this year. Nobody else has a run value below negative 12. Baez is at negative 16 against sliders. Among the 93 pitches that any hitter has seen at least 100 of, as far as plate appearances ending on them, Baez against sliders is dead last in batting average with a 111, slugging with a 194, Woba with a 158, whiff percentage with a 48.9%, put away percentage with a 31.3%, expected batting average with a 158, expected slugging with a 250, and expected Woba with a 171 or 181. He ranks second to last in strikeout rate with a 36.4% and a hard hit rate with a 22.1%. That is the entire dashboard of pitched arsenal stats on Savant. He is either dead last or second to last, and he's mostly dead last.
Yikes. Javier Baez.
Slightly alarming.
It's easy to see why pitchers are throwing him so many breaking balls. And in retrospect, why did it take this long for that to happen? Like, AL Central pitchers have clearly picked up on it more than anyone in the NL Central ever did in 6 years of him there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It makes me curious, like, if this is a problem that started this year or it's always been there. Because I don't know. I feel like hitters in general do worse off breaking balls, but obviously not to this degree, as he's dead last and against sliders and all these categories. But like looking at I mean, yeah, last year he slugged 494 off sliders. So this is developed.
That is much
year.
better.
Yeah. So I guess it's more of a this year problem. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Very good stats there. My slightly alarming is it's a Mets pitcher. It's Carlos Carrasco. Didn't know how to really introduce him.
Yeah.
It's Carlos Carrasco, who in his last 6 starts, he has a 6.83 ERA and a 5.66 FIP in 29.0 innings pitched. Also in the span, out of 72 qualifiers, his ERA is 3rd worst and his FIP is 4th worst. And a lot of that has to do with the home runs he's been giving up. His strikeout to walk numbers are actually still very, very good, but he's allowed a lot of home runs. He has 2.4 home runs per 9, which is 2nd highest out of the 72 qualifiers in the 6-start span. Out of 82 pitchers with 80 plus batted balls against in this span, Carrasco's expected slugging is 2nd highest, and his expected WOBA against is 3rd highest. His average exit velocity has also gone from 87.4 miles per hour to 90.1 miles per hour in the span. And his barrel rate, which is going to, an increase in barrel rate is going to increase your home run allowance. His barrel rate has gone from 6.0% to 12.6%. So more than doubled over this span. So Carlos Carrasco is looking
Slightly alarming.
So Daniel had to leave the show. He has some things going on, as we all do. So I will be doing the matchups. So for both, I will be doing series to watch and pitching matchups to watch. Always a little curveball when I get to do the pitching matchups. Series to watch. A lot of these started last night. So you have Red Sox versus Rays that started last night. The Rays won 10-5. That's at Tropicana Field, and that is going to be a 4-game series that ends on Thursday. What should be noted is the Red Sox have been very bad against the American League East this year so far. I saw a stat on Nesson last night that they were 11-21 against the rest of the AL East. not very good for the Red Sox, and they're going to be facing them. I also saw that the Red Sox have the highest strength of schedule against upcoming. So starts with the Rays here. Well, actually, it started with the Yankees, but a lot of this starts with the Rays here. They lost 10-5 last night, and the other series to watch, the main series to watch, is Braves Mets, fighting for the top of that NL East. Very, very important matchup there. The Mets the series started out with the Mets a game and a half up on Atlanta last night. Max Scherzer dominated, and the Mets won 4-1. And that series is going to be 3 games. Very important to watch. And I mean, if you miss this series, they have 4 more series after this. They're going to be facing each other a lot. It's going to be a very fun, just general matchup to watch over the course of the rest of the season. Very interesting and very competitive, I imagine it will be. And it probably will end up making or breaking who wins that National League East. And then in terms of the pitching matchups, I am considering that. Tonight you have the return of Chris Sale. Chris Sale's first start of the season. That will be taking place against Corey Kluber. So battle of the 2017 Cy Young, I can tell you that. 2017 AL Cy Young. And along with that, in that Braves Mets series that I previously mentioned, a very quality matchup between 2 young guns, 2 guys who get a lot of strikeouts as well, in Spencer Strider, who I highlighted, and David Peterson, who's been having a decent year, has a 3.48 ERA this year. That will be a solid matchup. Then on Wednesday night, you have a quality matchup on the West Coast in Anaheim. The matchup of the night there is Shohei Ohtani versus Christian Javier. Javier is coming off a rough start, but previous to that, he had 2 straight starts in which he had 13 plus strikeouts, and one of them he no hit the Yankees for 7 innings. So, and just in general, he's been having a great year, and Shohei Ohtani he's been pitching better than he was last year as well. Then on Thursday night, or Thursday in general, the matchup of that day definitely has to be Nestor Cortez versus Luis Castillo. ERA wise, very similar overall in the season. Cortez is a 2.74 ERA, Castillo is a 2.92 ERA, but trending in different directions. Cortez has been struggling a little bit as of late versus Castillo, who has really been surging and really been cementing himself as possibly the best trade option for any team at any position out there, you could argue. So that'll be a good matchup at Yankee Stadium. Luis Castillo, who knows, possibly a future Yankee. So that'll be fun. That'll be Thursday night. That's the matchup of the night. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. Also important, if you're listening on an Apple Podcast or Spotify, check out the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Especially important because we've been releasing some YouTube shorts, trying to boost ourselves in the algorithm. We've gotten some views on those YouTube shorts, just some brief analytical dives on some players, some clips from the podcast as well. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch some of those shorts. I think it's a quality work, some very digestible stuff, because they can they have to be 1 minute or less. It's the trend And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on Friday, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball once again. See you then.
This conversation is over.